Let's say you're shopping online. You search for something simple, like a pair of scissors, and right at the top, the platform's own brand pops up. It makes you wonder, right? Is that really the best pair of scissors for me? Or is the whole game just a little bit rigged? Well, today we're diving into a really fascinating research paper that asks a wild question. Could making online shopping fairer actually backfire?
Okay, so first, let's get our heads around the basic setup. On a platform like Amazon, you've got this really weird situation. The platform is the referee. It runs the whole marketplace, but it's also a player, selling its own products that are competing with thousands of other sellers. And that right there creates a fundamental conflict of interest.
And here's what that actually looks like. You search for scissors, and boom, the top result is an Amazon Basics product with a nice little label, featured from our brands. But if you look closer, its actual organic ranking is way down in 4th place. The platform is literally bumping its own product to the front of the line. And yeah, there's a name for this. It's called self-preferencing. So why do platforms do it? Well, it's just simple economics. When you buy their product, they get to keep 100% of the profit. But if you buy from another seller, they only get a small commission. So of course, they have a huge incentive to steer you toward their own stuff. Now, regulators and lawmakers are looking at this and thinking, hang on, that's not fair. So they've come up with what seems like a really simple, common sense solution to level the playing field. And that fix is called search neutrality. The idea is pretty straightforward. Platforms have to rank products based on what's most relevant to you, the customer. They can't just give their own stuff special treatment anymore just because it makes them more money. So you can really see the two different worlds here. On the left, that's the world we're in now, where platforms can push their own products. And on the right, you've got this new world with search neutrality, where all the third-party sellers get to compete fairly, just based on how good their products are. Sounds great, right? And look, the intention behind all of this is crystal clear. As one of the sponsors of the US legislation said, the goal is to give us, the consumers, more options and better prices. I mean, who could argue with that? But this is where the research paper we're looking at just throws a massive curveball. It asks the question that pretty much turns this entire debate on its head. What if this rule, which is designed to help consumers, actually ends up hurting them? What if trying to make the game fair accidentally breaks it? This is the core puzzle that the researchers wanted to solve. So what the paper found were two huge unintended consequences of search neutrality. These are the surprising harms that could pop up from this seemingly simple fair play rule. Okay, the first one is a real shocker. Search neutrality could actually lead to higher prices for all of us. That's right, higher prices. I know, it sounds completely backwards, so let's walk through exactly how that could happen. So here's the paradox. In the world without neutrality, if you're a third-party seller and you're buried on page 5, you've really only got one weapon, a killer price. You have to slash your price to get noticed. That forces the platform's own brand to lower its price too, and suddenly you've got a price war, which is great for us. But with search neutrality, that seller gets a fair shot at the top. They don't need to slash prices just to be seen anymore. And when that pressure to compete on price just disappears, well, prices for everyone can actually start to drift up. Okay, so prices might go up. But the second potential harm, you could argue it's even worse. Search neutrality could actually reduce the number of products available for us to buy in the first place. So how on earth could more fairness lead to fewer choices? Well, imagine you're the platform for a second. You actually benefit from adding new sellers because it gives customers more options to look at. But what the research found is that under search neutrality, the top results become so good, so relevant, that people just stop browsing. They click the first link, and they're done. This actually makes that wide variety of products less valuable. And if variety is less valuable, the platform has way less incentive to approve new sellers, which over time could lead to a much less diverse marketplace. So after all that, what's the big takeaway here? Why does this academic research actually matter in the real world? Well, if you're a policymaker, this is a huge red flag that even the best-intentioned rules can backfire spectacularly. If you're a business leader, it shows that competing on a digital shelf is a whole different ballgame than a physical one. And for you and me, the shoppers, this is probably the most important lesson. A marketplace that looks fairer on the surface might not actually be better for our wallets or our options. And that leaves us with a really complex challenge. This isn't about choosing between a fair or an unfair system anymore. It's about finding a much, much smarter way to regulate these incredibly powerful platforms so that we get the fairness we want without accidentally killing the price competition and the variety that we all need.
And that, right there, is a puzzle that is far from being solved.